Well, good afternoon. Very warm welcome here to this magnificent velodrome for the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. We're here at the Lee Valley Velo Park, which for those of you who will remember London 2012 and who can forget it, this was the scene of so many of those wonderful performances. Well, we've got a full afternoon of racing for you, starting off with the men's sprint semi-finals. This is the start list. Heat number 1, Harry Levraisen up against Jack Carlin, and then we move on to Jeffrey Hoogland up against the world champion Matthew Glaetzer of Australia. The riders already coming out onto the track then. Jack Carlin there in the changed colours. This is the colours of Team Inspire, which is the British cycling team. They're in British Racing Green, for those of you wondering what colour that is. And Jack Carlin riding for this squad. Coming up alongside him will be Harry Levraisen. Jack Carlin, a Scottish rider. Team Inspire used to be called 100% Me, but they've now changed the name as we head towards Tokyo 2020. Big crowd in here this afternoon. This venue holds around 6,500 people. It's not far from capacity as we get ready for the first race of this final session. We will, of course, bring you the highlights of the last few days as well as the live racing here on the track. They're in the colours of the Netherlands, world champion of the team sprint, Harry Levraisen of the Netherlands, and Jack Carlin, Commonwealth Games silver medalist in the sprint. Also won 2 silver medals in the World Championships in the team sprint and in the sprint. He's one of the emerging talents of Great Britain. Levraisen known for liking to go from a long way out in the sprint to make their way around the first parts of the track. They're on the blue of the Côte d'Azur down at the bottom of the track. And Carlin has to lead for half a lap until he is allowed to try and manoeuvre his opposition into the lead. Carlin is one of those riders who doesn't like to ride a flat-out smooth type of sprint. He tends to manoeuvre his opponent around the track a lot. He likes to toy with whoever he is competing against, and he likes to go to standstills. And you'll notice what he's doing there, trying to put Levraisen into the lead. Great track stand by Carlin. He's not allowed actually to go backwards. And Carlin is keeping an eye on the screen at the far end of the track. You'll notice both of them looking up. And this arena is very good in the fact that it has 4 giant screens around the top, and Levraisen is using that to really good effect, and Carlin did the same. So Levraisen's now got to lead as he takes Carlin up the track. Carlin immediately jumps him though. That was a superb manoeuvre. Levraisen was going to take him. What a superb sprint here by Carlin. Levraisen was going to go to the standstill, and Carlin said, well, hard luck. I'm going to go from the nearly 2 laps out. Carlin still has the lead. Down the back straight now. Levraisen's going to give up. Carlin is going to go through, and he just has to motor his way into the finish. Well done, Jack Carlin. 1-0. A superb manoeuvre by the young Brit. Jan van Eyden walks into the track centre there. He's his coach. Just shows you've got to be ready for anything. Levraisen was going to go up to the top of the banking, the usual stuff, and Carlin just caught him totally on the hop. That was a rider who is not worried at all. He just went with exactly what was in his mind. Just attack the rider hard. Well, Levraisen's going to have to go back, think about his tactics and try and take it to a decider. Confirmation on the screen, Carlin goes 1-0 against the Dutchman Harry Levraisen. Next race, getting lined up. Two champions, respectively. Jeffrey Hoogland at the bottom of the track. In the blue and white, he's the European champion. There's the world champion of the sprint, Matthew Gleitzer. Jeffrey Hoogland, another Dutch rider, Gleitzer from Australia. Two superb sprinters. Hoogland lining himself up really close to the top of the banking to start to play the mind games against Matthew Gleitzer. Now, Gleitzer is a rider who won the world title after much trying, but he's also a rider who can sometimes, in the second ride, get caught out. I don't know whether he goes to sleep a little bit. He's a very, very chilled out rider. But we've seen a number of occasions where his races go to a decider. Hoogland then going to the track stand to try and manoeuvre Gleitzer into the lead. Doesn't quite work. Gleitzer has looked like he's on superb form. Has been in Europe since the races in Paris, so he's gone through Berlin and here. They've been staying in Wales, racing on the track and training on the track there. Now the sprint starting to wind up. Hoogland is starting to accelerate. Gleitzer stays high. He's going to use the banking as much as possible. Hoogland still hasn't unleashed this sprint yet. Gleitzer has this panther-like sprint. Now he goes across the top and he's going to squeeze a little bit more pace out. Gleitzer goes 1-0. Ross Edgar takes a big deep breath. Superb sprinting by Matthew Gleitzer. Ross Edgar, the British rider there, who's now the coach of the Australian sprinters. Hoogland didn't really ever get on top of that gear there. He left it a long, long time to unleash the sprint. And Gleitzer, he likes to ride so close to his opponent as he comes out of turn 3 into turn 4. Well, we'll be back with those contests shortly. Confirmation on the screen, Gleitzer 1-0 against Jeffrey Hoogland. As we look out across the track, here's the men's omnium. We're going to move on to the elimination race. This is the omnium standings after the tempo race, race number 2. Sebastian Mora, Matthew Walls and Christos Volikakis lead with 74 points. Mora at the top of the table. Viviani in 4th place, the Olympic champion of the omnium. And that's the run through of the rest of the riders who will be taken to the start line. So we've got 21 riders who are in this omnium. The omnium, of course, 4 races in total. We'll see the elimination now, and later on we'll see the points race. 2 races have gone. The riders just making their way out onto the track. The little orange boxes on the handlebars, which flash red when you're eliminated. There's our leader, Sebastian Mora. He knows the UK very well. He actually rode in Great Britain for one of the British pro teams, Team Rally, for a little while. So he knows the criterium scene here. He knows the road scene very well. Looking through the riders who are lining up then. From the Czech Republic, that was a quick look at Nicholas Petrula. This is the British rider who is in here. Matthew Walls, Very talented young rider. Great Britain are here with quite a mixed team. Quite a few emerging youngsters and a number of the experienced riders. And all nations are kind of switching around their teams to try and find out who is the best rider to start to look towards Tokyo. One rider with a few track burns on the hands. More up there at the top of the track. A look there at the British rider Matthew Valls, who is concentrating hard. All the riders underway. This is the elimination race. The idea of this race then, for those of you who've never seen it before, one rider is eliminated at the back of the group every couple of laps. We work our way down until the final two. And then it's a sprint for the finish line. And of course, the Omnium is all about scoring as many points as possible. So in order to be as consistent as you can be and stay at the top of the leaderboard, you do not want to be eliminated early. The bell goes for the first elimination of the afternoon. Let's see who's going to be eliminated first. Particularly the riders at the top of the standings, they will want to make sure they are safely through. A little bit of a sprint there at the back. Who is eliminated that time? Looked like the Ukrainian rider, Vitaly Ivanov. So Vitaly Ivanov is out of the race already. He's not happy with that at all. Our commissaire in the middle has to be a little bit quick with showing us what's going on. One rider now in difficulty is the Polish rider wearing number 35, Simon Kachuk, and he may well get eliminated this time. He's out of the race. He's got a few battle scars after a crash. I saw him in the track centre earlier and he was struggling with that left knee. Very fast pace here at the front already. A couple of riders are starting to suffer here at the back. One is Mark Potts of Ireland in the green. Looks like he might get caught out here. On the outside goes the Mexican rider. And coming up to the line, Potts just doesn't seem to... Oh, he just managed to squeeze through there. And that was number 8 there, Nicholas Petrula of the Czech Republic, who is out of the race. Realised he's got a flashing red light in front of him, but he's going flat out. Mark Potts looks like he might be in difficulty here. He moves on the inside. Can he get himself through? He's playing a dangerous game. He's found a gap. The yellow flag means it's neutralised for a moment. They're trying to get this Czech Republic rider out. It may well not have been an elimination that time. He's out now. He's been taken out of the race. And the bang of the gun goes to continue the race. Which means that there will now be another elimination. Problem going on here. What the judge is doing. Now the bell goes. There will be an elimination, and it is going to be number 22 if he doesn't move on a little bit. Christian Lavasi is trying to get past number 38 here, Keirin Sveshnikov, and he doesn't manage to do it. So Christian Lavasi out of the race, the Hungarian rider is eliminated. In a World Cup, the calling of the elimination isn't too bad, so the commissaire generally calls it from sight. Olympic Games, it's very different. They have the photo finish who tell the commissaire who's eliminated. The commissaire checks it and tells everyone who is taken out of the race. And that all has to happen in half a lap. Mark Potts taken out that time. Potts no longer in this race. Next rider to be eliminated this time. Yet again, it's the Russian rider at the back in the red, white and blue who's in a touch of trouble here. Oh, Sveshnikov, is he going to be taken out this time? A little bit of a fight between the Frenchman alongside him, and he just manages to do it. So the Frenchman is out. Hayden Caves of Canada safely in there, but the Frenchman, Donovan Grondin, is out of the race now, wearing number 13. Another new French rider in the group. Starting to get a little bit more gaps for the riders to sneak through. There's less riders on the track. And finally, the Russian gives up. The legs just aren't responding. Kirill Sveshnikov is out of the race. There he is, wearing number 38. Shakes his head, not impressed. Can't be impressed with, unimpressed with the commissaire, because it was his legs that gave out that time. Number 3 now is in difficulty. Lindsay de Wilde of Belgium sneaks up on the outside, and it's going to be Kingdok, number 20 in the blue, who's also in trouble, and he is taken out of the race. Bronze medalist in the World Championships in the scratch race. Kingdok rode for a year for the Orica Green Edge team on the road. He's had a great career. Sitting on the front all the time is the Dutchman, Jan Willem van Schip, silver medalist in the World Championships in the Omnium. Big sprint going on here at the back. Who's going to be taken out? João Matisse might be out of the action. He's trying to squeeze through. Oh, and I think it was the Belgian, Lindsay de Wilde, wearing number 3. He's not going to agree with this. Looks down, looks at the red light. Lindsay de Wilde out of the race. On the front then is the Danish rider. Oh, there's a problem here at the back. Matthew Walls has got to get himself back into the action here. He may well get eliminated. Big sprint going on, and he just manages to squeeze through. German rider, Moritz Malczarek, is out of the race. It's amazing how you can go from the front to the back in literally a few meters. It's such a washing machine in here. If you don't keep your concentration, suddenly you are right at the back of the race. 36 moving up. The Portuguese rider now in difficulty, João Matisse. And it's him who is going to be taken out of the race this time. Matisse sits up. Yep, right in the red zone. His legs are really hurting. On the front then, Sebastian Mora, the leader of this Omnium competition in the red and yellow. The Canadian rider, Hayden Caves. His legs are giving out. 23 years of age, a bronze medalist in the Commonwealth Games team pursuit. He finds a little bit more strength from somewhere. And the Mexican is now taken out of the string. It's Ignacio Prado. Canadian rider Caves yet again struggling, and finally he fought one more time. He's desperately trying to get back on the rear of this group, and he might eliminate the leader of this Omnium, who suddenly is suffering. His head is all over the place. Sebastian Mora. Caves is trying to come up on the outside of him, and he eliminates the leader. Mora suddenly had the look on his face of absolute pain. He just couldn't go with the moves. World champion of the scratch race in 2016, Sebastian Mora. The Danish rider, Kasper von Falsach, is now at the back of the group. Caves, though, also gives in. These riders are suffering badly. It's really hot in this track this afternoon. Caves has finished. There is no fuel left in the tank. Six riders left. This is the elimination race in the Omnium. Van Schip unusually is right at the back. Can Van Schip get back into the race here? Who's going to get taken out this time? And it is the Swiss rider, Thierry Schier. Number 40. Looked like Van Schip was going to be caught out. Van Schip is a really strong endurance rider. Matthew Walls moves up on the outside. 2 stage wins in the Flèche de Sud, European champion in the elimination race. Matthew Walls trying to stay in. Viviani's now in difficulty. And Van Schip is taken out, which is a big surprise as well. This is a great race now. This is going to mean that the points race is going to be an enticing final race of the Omnium. Viviani on the back. Viviani, 3 stage wins in the Vuelta a España. On the gold bike is an Olympic champion in the Omnium. Pogačar now in trouble. Look, he's absolutely all over his bike. Viviani's trying to surf his way through here. Pogačar is taken out. Down to the final 3. Viviani, 4 stage wins in the Giro d'Italia. Italian road race champion. What a season he's had. Down to the last 3. Van Falsa, Matthew Walls, Viviani. Viviani had trouble in the Omnium in Berlin. Talking to him in the track centre earlier, he said, I just didn't have the legs. But he said he's feeling much, much better. Van Falsac is out. It's down to the European champion of the elimination race against the Olympic Omnium champion in this 3rd race of the Omnium. Viviani, has he got the legs this time? He said he's finding it really tough to go from the road to the track all the time. But he is one of the fastest sprinters in the world. Matthew Walls, who bears a little bit of a resemblance to Mark Cavendish behind that helmet. Viviani unleashes the sprint that we see so often on the road, and he leaves the young British rider behind. Viviani wins the elimination race. What a superb display by the Italian. Viviani takes it, says well done to the British rider. Gold, the bling of the Italian Olympic champion. Excellent race. Matthew Walls then trying to get the better of him, but it just was going to be always really tough. Look at Viviani. Continues with the Quick Step for next season. And he's been on training camps and everything with them and coming straight back to the track. He'll recover then in the track centre. 1 more race to go, and this is how things look. So the British rider Matthew Walls leads, 112 points, 4 points ahead of Volikakis. Viviani moves up now into 3rd place with 106, and Mora drops back to 4th place. Van Schip in 5th place, which for him he will be very disappointed about. This is a big performance by the young British rider. We'll see whether he can hold on to it or if Viviani can come back. Next up on the track, we're going to turn our attention back to the sprint whilst you take a look through the various standings. Viviani heads back into the track centre. Thanks to all of you for joining us. If you'd like to join us on Twitter this afternoon and send us any questions, at UCI_cycling and at Ant McCrossan is where you can message in. Ask anything you would like to. Lots of cycling news today. Movistar have continued their sponsorship for the next 3 years for their road team. For Great Britain, today is their Sports Personality of the Year awards. So Geraint Thomas is looking to try and win Sports Personality of the Year. you look here at the sprinters, Raisin there in the orange. Back up on the track, he's 1-0 down to Jack Carlin, and they will be up on the boards very soon. As Carlin concentrates, just gets the focus of what he needs to deliver to get himself into the gold medal ride-off. The sprinters have warmed up, they're getting themselves ready as well. A bit of a wait here until we get the riders up on the track. Carlin just getting concentrated, waiting to put that helmet on. Making sure he's got plenty of air in those lungs, going through his normal pre-race ritual, and all these sprinters have this. They will have a very particular way of getting themselves ready for a race. When you talk to these sprinters, they almost say things start a day ago when they know who they're up against in the various rounds of competition. The mind games start to play, particularly in a major competition. I guess it's likening them to the 100-metre sprinters on the track in athletics. It's all about feeling confident. It's all about getting the best performance out over the final 200 metres generally. Carlin then 1-0 up. Sprint silver medal in the Commonwealth Games. That seems like years ago, but it was only a few months ago on the Gold Coast in Australia. That's the way he'll kick his feet into the pedals here. Those of you who ride bikes might ride clickless pedals. These riders are so powerful, they'll also put a strap around the shoe as well. And that just holds the foot absolutely perfectly into the pedals. All the power transfer goes through then the pedals and the axle and straight through the cranks. Just a reminder then that Carlin is 1-0 up. Raisin has to win this one to bring it to a decider. Crowds at track racing so close to the riders. Last night I took a guest into the track who presents a lot of sport and never seen track racing before, and I've kind of forgotten what it's like when you bring someone into a track who's never been here before, and how they cannot believe how steep this banking is and how close you are to the riders. It was a good reminder of just how impressive track racing is. This banking 43 degrees at this end, around about 7.5 meters. The track is wide. And the various lines you can see there, the blue of the Côte d'Azur, where the riders just in the sprints almost just warm up. Black line is the gauge line where the track is measured. The red line is important for these riders, the sprinters. That's where all the rules really are dictated from. And that red sprinter's line indicates where the front rider drops in the final 200. The other rider has to go around the outside of them. They cannot go on the inside on the Côte d'Azur on the blue. Used to be you could, but now you definitely can't. The blue line at the top doesn't get used as much now in terms of rules. That's called the stayers line. And that was for the motorbikes that we used to have on the track that would lead the riders around in the stayers race, which was particularly dangerous, and you don't see it so often anymore. Raisin, is he going to now take this to 1-1? Jack Carlin has to get into the slipstream of this rider. He uses the banking a little bit to almost use it like a climb to come into the slipstream of the Dutchman. Lavrazen starts to open up the sprints. Can Carlin come past him? Lavrazen's looking good this time. Carlin's left it a little bit late. Now we're going to go to a decider. Lavrazen, world champion of the team sprint. He wasn't going to make a mistake that time. He will go back to the third race and try and get through for the gold medal. And Carlin has to go back to the drawing board. Lavrazen had real power that time. Look at that. If you let him go from a long way out, you have a very, very tough time getting past him. Comes from his team sprint background. Carlin will not want to do that next time. He'll want to make sure he jumps a little bit ahead of Lavrazen. 1-1 now in that contest. We'll soon find out who goes through to ride for the gold. Lates are about to get up on the track against Jeffrey Hoogland. Lates 1-0 up. In the rainbow bands as world champion. Senka pushes him up onto the track. Little power meter behind the saddle, collecting all the data. Just in the background, up to the right-hand side, you can see that black area. That's where the sports scientists are, and they film all the races. They collect the data that is coming off the back of these bikes, and they're able to help the riders to make informed decisions about how to beat their opponents. Nice shot there of the line up on the track. Underway then, Gleitzer, world champion in the rainbow bands, on the front. Australia have changed their bikes for this season. They always used to ride Institute of Sport bikes, but now they are with a specific manufacturer. It's taken a little bit of time for them to get used to, but they're now firmly on board these bikes. Canadian machines. Hoogland will have analysed that last race. So a very good team sprinter. World champion of the team sprint. Goes a little bit higher now. Can he use the motivation of seeing his compatriot Lavrazen beat Carlin that time? Here we go then, into the sprint. Gleitzer is a rider who generally can get found out in the second race. Here we go then, it's Hoogland who is on the front. Gleitzer working hard, trying to come back. And it looks like it is going to go to a decider, so both those races are going to go through to the third race, which in itself is an unusual event. Superb race by Jeffrey Hoogland. 1-1 in that contest now. Gleitzer left it too late to kick, and he led Hoogland into that unleashing of the sprint. Hoogland opening up a couple of lengths, and Gleitzer never getting back. Gleitzer was giving that everything, it just didn't happen. He's going to have to now go back to his tactics he adopted in race number 1. 1-1, Hoogland and Gleitzer. Hoogland just relaxing the legs. We turn our attention then to the women's keirin. This is the second round start list. Interesting that Katie Marcin is in here for Great Britain, Simona Krupskaite for Lithuania, Pauline Grabosch, who is one of the young riders from Germany. This is heat number 1, and 3 riders in each heat will qualify. The world champion there, Nikki de Grendler, listening to a few sounds to get herself motivated. Nikki de Grendler now at the UCI school in Aigle in Switzerland, and coached by Craig McLean, another British coach. The riders will have drawn lots in the track centre. Flipping themselves into the pedals. The Chinese rider about to get on the track. Tianxi, 27 years of age, in the red and yellow. Riders coming up to line up on the track then. Keirin Racing has also changed more recently. 6 laps of the track now, not 8. We'll take a look there at Pauline Grabosch. Next on the track is Katie Marcin of Great Britain, Simona Krupskaite of Lithuania. This is Haejin Lee of Korea. Alongside her, Martha Bayona, silver medalist in the World Championships, and Tianxi Xiong in the red and yellow of China. The Derny making its way around the track. Back to the motors as opposed to the electric Derny bike. Tianxi Xiong with that magnificently painted helmet. And the bike underway then. It will wind the pace up to 50 kilometers an hour, just above. The Chinese rider, team sprint Olympic champion. Twice a world champion already in her career. The owner of Colombia, they're in the turquoise colours. Colombia have changed from white to turquoise for some reason. Now silver medalist in the World Championships in 2017 in the keirin. Behind her, Simona Krupskaite in the yellow and green. Bronze medalist in the World Championships in 2018. Krupskaite, one of the older riders on the track. Behind her, Katie Marcin, former heptathlete. And right at the back of the group, Pauline Grabosch of Germany. Keirin bike, Derny bike peels out now, and the riders are left on the track. 3 laps to go. Again, things have changed. Used to be 2.5 laps for the bike to peel off. Now it's 3. So who's going to unleash the sprint first? They're leaving it very, very late. 2 laps to go now. Marcin makes her move on the outside. Katie Marcin had to fight her way through the repechage. It was a bit of a shock for her. But Tianxi Xiong, the 27-year-old, still on the front. Bayona safely on the wheel. Haejin Lee moving up. Katie Marcin doesn't have the legs. Simona Krupskaite does. And 3 riders going through. Marcin, though, recovers somehow. Whoa, it looks like she also got the better of the Chinese rider. She was going backwards. I'm sure Marcin has got the chip on her wheel, because we haven't seen her come up on the screen, and there's no doubt she was one of the 3. Confirmation in a moment, I think. Let's just take a look. The Chinese rider was flat out. Bayona comes on the outside. Haejin Lee looks to have 3rd place sewn up. And suddenly Marcin went from having nothing to squeezing through a gap that she found and eliminating, I think, the Chinese rider. Let's take a look. She does. Fiona will lead across the line. Haijin Lee second, the British rider marching in third, and Tianxi Xiong in fourth. Average speed 63.258 kilometres an hour for the last 200. There's confirmation. Fiona, Lee and Marchant will go through to fight it out for the gold. Here's the lineup of our second round, heat number 2. It's a bit of a stacked heat, this one. Loreen van Rieten has been on form in the World Cups recently. She's just won the last 2. Stephanie Morton, who is getting stronger and stronger in the sprints. Her list of Palmares growing all the time. And, of course, the world champion, Nikki de Grendela. Daria Shmileva there in the blue, riding for the Gazprom Rusvelo team, the Russian trade squad. At the top of the track then, Van Riesen, a Dutch champion, former speed skater. She's the rider on form in the keirins at the moment. Alongside is the rider from Hong Kong, China, Jessica Lee. Next is the Polish rider, Ursula Loss. And it's Daria Shmileva of Rusvelo. Alongside her is Stephanie Morton, Commonwealth champion in the sprint, Paralympic gold medalist. And finally, Nikki de Grendela, the world champion. A young rider, but already has got some great lists of wins and performances. Bronze medalist in the World Championship in 2017, world champion in 18. Nikki de Grendela riding for the Beat cycling team. It's the team of Dutch riders who are largely funded by their fans, and also now are starting to accumulate sponsors who are putting money into the team. An ambitious project started 2 years ago, and now they've got enough to fund the riders such as de Grendela, Theo Boss and other riders. Again, 3 riders will go through to the final. Stephanie Morton didn't do so well in the Berlin round of the World Cup in the keirin. She kind of backed off in the final. Loreen van Riesen. Van Riesen, the rider that everyone may remember as the rider, the sprinter who rode the wall around the top of the track in Rio, somehow not crashing. Grendela. Gap back to Stephanie Morton. Morton quite happy to leave that gap. It helps you ride into the slipstream of the rider in front of you. To Stephanie last night, she was really happy with her progress. Moving up on the outside comes Loss of Poland. She takes over the lead. Morton makes her move. De Grendela with a little bit of strapping on the inside of the knee, looking for that gap. Daria Shmileva, former world champion of the 500 metres, 3 times a world champion on the track. Morton now leads. She prefers to lead the keirin like this. Morton starting to accelerate hard. Shmileva just behind her. De Grendela is out of it at the moment. Can she get through? 3 riders will qualify. The world champion is eliminated. 63.386 kilometres an hour. A well-orchestrated ride there by Stephanie Morton. De Grendela never seemed to be in it. Just didn't have the legs. Shmileva looking good all the time as well. Morton qualifies for the gold medal ride. Morton 1 bike length ahead of Shmileva. Shmileva second place, Loss in third, de Grendela. Then Van Riesen surprisingly down in 5th. That won't have given the world champion too much motivation. Stephanie Morton takes it. Schmeleva qualifies, Loss qualifies. De Grendel down in 4th, Van Riesen in 5th, and Lee in 6th. Van Riesen and De Grendel would have been 2 riders you would firmly have expected to be in the final. Here's the lineup of the final. Colombia's Bayona, Australia's Morton, Hai-Jin Lee of Korea, Schmeleva, Rusvello, Marchant of Great Britain, and Loss of Poland. And Marchant, having fought her way through the repechage, now safely there in the final. Back to the sprints. This is the sprint decider between Jack Carlin in the British Racing green up against the man in orange, Harry Levrazen of the Netherlands. 1-1. Carlin, I'm sure, will have had a bit of a talking to from his coach after that loss in the second round. And Jan van Eyden, he's a motivational coach, but he'll also tell you exactly how it is. Van Eyden was a superb sprinter on the track. German rider who's made his home in Great Britain now. He's coached a number of Olympic cycles. Rosen leads this time, Carlin in 2nd place. The Dutch sprinters, there's so much strength in depth now with Levrazen, Hoogland, Boothly, Theo Bos, and so many others you could start to list. They've really put themselves into a position of probably being the strongest sprint nation in the world now. Carlin not letting Levrazen out of his sights at all this time. Carlin decides to go high, right up on the bank, and this shot lovely, able to show you just how steep that banking is. Levrazen starting his sprint. Who's going to go through and take the gold medal ride? Levrazen goes to the top of the track. Carlin using it. Now he dives down, using it like a steep hill to get into the slipstream. Now he's going to go high again. He needs a little bit more speed. He recognises how fast Levrazen is. He is a superb sprinter. Carlin now into the wheel of the Dutchman. Can he get past? He's trying hard, but Levrazen looks so strong. The Dutchman got that one absolutely nailed. 2-1 to Harry Levrazen. He will ride for the gold medal. Carlin tried everything he could. Went up the banking twice to try and get a little bit more speed. But Levrazen is superbly strong. Looked good. Levrazen will ride against whoever takes the next ride. Confirmation on the screen then, Levrazen 2-1 against the British youngster Jack Carlin. Bit of adjustment then of the shoes for our next sprinter, Jeffrey Hoogland. Up against Gleitzer, concentrating hard now. Matthew Glaetzer, a religious person. Does a lot of work at his local church in Australia. You see him on a bike and he's such a competitor. And you talk to him in real life and he's such a quiet-natured person. There he is on the right-hand side. The shoes of the Dutchman. The handlebar setup's all important. Carbon bars there for Jeffrey Hoogland. The metal stem to hold them in. Matthew Glaetzer leads 1-1 now in this competition. Glaetzer has got to try and unleash this sprint nice and early, get in the lead and beat Jeffrey Hoogland. Otherwise we are going to have an all-Dutch final here in London. Glaetzer, his head is so low at the front. From that back shot you don't even see it. Hoogland now unleashing the power, winding that gear up. Glaetzer now working hard. Hoogland getting into the wheel of Glaetzer. Now he's going to overtake. Glaetzer stamping on those pedals. He holds off Hoogland around that banking. So hard to do. Now he's going to try and do the same into this banking. That is superb sprinting. That is power, absolute power. 69.151 kilometers an hour. What a sprint by Matthew Glaetzer. Reminiscent of Chris Hoy holding off Maximilian Levy in the final banking in the Keirin in London 2012. But that was a display of sheer power from Matthew Glaetzer. Look at this. He held off Hoogland not just once but twice. Shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow. No one giving an inch. Glaetzer still maintaining the power into turn 4. The way they're sprinting, Hoogland tries to come alongside again, but finally Glaetzer gets the better of the Dutchman. There's confirmation of the result. Glaetzer 2-1 against the Dutchman Jeffrey Hoogland. This is the lineup then for the final. Levrazen up against Glaetzer. For the gold, Carlin up against Hoogland. Let's take a look back then at the men's keirin second round. 2 laps to go then in the men's keirin second round. The riders looking to qualify for the final, unleashing the sprint to the front. Look at this, as we see the British rider trying to get on terms, Jack Carlin. Carlin goes to the front. Buckley in second place, but Buckley qualifies, Carlin qualifies, so does Kwesi Brown. Surprising then that Kellerman and Eilers didn't manage to qualify. This is the second round, heat number 2, and into 2 laps to go. Superb sprinting from the young Frenchman, Rayan Halal. Trying to get back on terms was Joe Truman, the British rider behind him. Theo Boss in the colours of the Beat Cycling Club. In towards the finish line then, and Rayan Halal hitting the line but squeezing through Aziza Wang in the black, leaving it very, very late. The 4-rider photograph Wang looked to be out of it, but he managed to somehow come through to take the win. Not even time for the trademark wheelie. Qualification then for Wang, Helal and Theo Bos. This is the start list for the 7th to 12th final. Matthew Glaetzer in here, 4 laps to go. Lucky Milers on the front in the trademark green socks and green helmet. Glaetzer making his move on the outside. Trying to come up and get on terms is the British rider Joe Truman. Joe Truman goes to the front. Glaetzer's second wheel. This is for the points, all important for Tokyo 2020. Pavel Kellerman in the colours of the Czech Republic. Glaetzer constantly looking round. Coming up towards the bell now, as we see on the front Joe Truman. 1 lap to go. Glaetzer pumping those pedals as he always does. That style that's so urgent. Kellerman on the inside now, coming up to the wheel of Matthew Glaetzer. Glaetzer though, looking strong. He hits the line, he takes 7th place ahead of Kellerman and Quintero of Colombia. Barrett out of it. 7th place then for Matthew Glaetzer. There's the result of the final for the 7th to 12th places. Glaetzer ahead of Kellerman. Right, up on the track then, Jack Carlin of Team Inspire. Carlin, silver medalist in the World Championships in the team sprint. Alongside him, the Dutch champion, Matthijs Buchli, silver medalist in the Olympic Games in Rio. Next rider on the track, world champion, Aziza Wang. He was the world champion in 2017 in Hong Kong. His Palmares is superb. This is the rider who everyone's starting to talk about, Rayan Halal, the 19-year-old sprinter from France, junior world champion on the track. Kwesi Brown of Trinidad and Tobago. And finally, Theo Bos. Thumbs up from him. Silver medalist in the Olympic Games. 5 times a world champion, Theo Bos. The 6 riders all lined up. Theo Bos, a Dutch rider, but in the colours of his trade team, the Beat Cycling Club. Immediately onto the wheel was a Wang. A Wang now, second wheel here. Third wheel, Rayan Halal, sorry, Kwesi Brown there in third wheel. Jack Carlin goes to the front, looking for the lead. Theo Bos trying to come up and get on terms. Bos is getting stronger all the time. Now 35 years of age, coming back to the track after his road career. Bos followed by Buchli, 2 Dutchmen now at the front. A Wang trying to come up on the outside. He had a bad season last year, but a Wang is looking good again. Buchli now on the front, the Dutch champion. Theo Bos doesn't seem to have the legs. Carlin is getting washed away, so is Kwesi Brown. Whereas the Frenchman Rayan Halal, he sits up, coming into the finish. Buchli takes it ahead of a Wang and Theo Bos. Superb sprinting by Matthijs Buchli. Confirmation then of the result. There's our podium. Buchli takes the win.
I wanted to try some different things today. In the end, you turn up riding automatic pilot. So maybe I just have to keep going like I do at the moment. And I hope to be even better at the World Champs, because then everyone's 100%.
Here's the start list then for the women's Madison, which is a total distance of 80 laps. 8 sprints along the way. All the nations bringing in some big names here for this women's Madison. Now all important, of course, with the situation of the Madison being brought into the Olympic Games for the women. Let's take a look here on the track. 65 laps to go. Current situation is that Australia are leading. The Australian team up on 5 points. Coming back up onto the track after a crash. One of the Russian riders who has just hit the deck, the Russian team, Badiakova and Augustinas. There's confirmation then after only one sprint, so we're joining this after the first sprint. Australia 5 points, Great Britain on 3, Belgium on 2, and the French team are on 1 point. At the front then, in this Madison, no one's taken a lap. You get 20 points if you take the lap. We're in a good situation then, so we can keep a good eye on what's going on. And this rider is really struggling now. That's Augustinas, who fell heavily, doesn't seem to be able to continue. Coming up towards the next sprint. And the Dutch team now on the front. Kirsten Wild and Amy Peters. Wild throws Amy Peters into the action. Archibald throws Laura Kenny into the action. Amy Peters, one of the fastest sprinters in world cycling. But Laura Kenny now accelerates hard to go away and clinch another 5 points. Superb sprinting by Laura Kenny. Another crash now, hitting the deck. One of the American riders is down. USA on the deck. Amy Peters there on the front of the group. 4 riders are going away. Great Britain take 5. Australia take 3. The Netherlands take 2. Belgium take 1. And the gunner's gone, and that will neutralise the race, whilst Great Britain and Australia are on 8 points. And the reason for that is the American rider who's hit the deck hasn't moved yet and got up. So the paramedics are taking a look at her. That was a very, very heavy fall. I think she fell quite a long way from the top of the track. One of the Russian rider isn't able to continue. Her legs hurting too much. Really limping, has tried to get back on the track but just isn't able to. 59 laps to go. So what happens now, and the safety of the athletes is always the most important thing, is that they will give attention to the rider who is down. She's so close to the track that they don't want to risk anything. She's sat up now. The Russian rider means that her team are going to be out of the race. And they're just chatting here on the inside of the track. When you fall a long way like that, you really do feel it pretty badly. She's now safely on her feet. I don't think the American team are going to continue here. That was a big, big fall. So we've seen 3 crashes on the track so far. The Ukrainians crashed in their hand sling. Whoa, that was a crash and a half. And the next crash we saw coming up now. Few missed changes, but actually the Polish team brought the Russians down. Right on that steep banking, and then just as this sprint was going on, the Americans came right in on the hand sling of the French, and that was a really hard crash too. This race then has been neutralised. The riders are under the red flag. Gives the riders a chance to get some drinks. And then we'll get the race back and underway. Great Britain lead 8 points to the Australian 7. There's the pairing of Australia, a very experienced team here. Making our way into the track, Kimberly Geist. Kendall Ryan is the rider who is suffering, but I think I'm not sure Kendall's going to be able to get back on her bike. They've actually been given a warning for causing that crash, and they did cause it. They were flat out. Whilst the French team were doing the handsling, you have to move up the track a little bit, let the team in front do their handsling, and then follow the formation of the team in front. And that's definitely what didn't happen that time. The French just piled straight in to the handsling of the French riders. There's Laura Kenny and Katie Archibald. Katie Archibald, world champion of this discipline, with Emily Nelson. Just having a conversation with Laura Kenny. Laura Kenny, 4 times Olympic champion. Back on the track after having a baby. She is already back at her absolute best. She might say otherwise, but she looks superb on the track. The coach is complaining a little bit. Let's take a little look. This is the Ukrainian crash. That was just no way to do a handsling. This is the crash of the Russian squad, which was all caused by the Polish rider hitting the wheel and taking down the Russian rider. And the American team coming up, as you can see there, just following the string but not realizing the handsling was going to happen, and both the teams crashing into the center of the track. Not long until we get underway, but they've just got to make sure that the track is safe to race on. When they crash like this, a few splinters, and he's carrying a splinter, as you can see. They don't want riders getting a splinter. One photograph you may never want to look at is Aziza Wang, who took a splinter all the way through his leg. I think that was actually at Manchester. Laura Kenny just checking her helmet safe. 3 crashes so far. The Americans are out. The Russian Federation are out. Underway then, and we have had a couple of sprints, 8 sprints in total. The gun goes, and now we get the racing underway. 59 laps to go, so 9 laps to go until the next sprint. On the front, Annette Edmondson, confirmation again on the screen. Great Britain lead with 8, Australia on 7, Netherlands on 3, Belgium on 3. Annette Edmondson, her 2nd World Cup of the season. She said she's a little bit ring rusty when she came off the Berlin race. She throws Amy Cure into the race. Amy Cure, the very experienced rider, world champion on the track. Annette Edmondson, bronze medalist in the Olympic Games in the Omnium. 9 World Championship medals, including a World Championship title in the Omnium in 2015. She's been riding on the road for the Wiggle High 5 team, and now she's turned her attention back to the track as we head towards Tokyo. A little study there of Laura Kenny. Power meter underneath her saddle. Hasn't changed her riding or pedaling style at all. 5 laps to go to the next sprint, and an acceleration here by team number 7. Big move now as the Mexican team try to go clear. Salazar and Areola. Right in on the wheel. Katie Archibald just pedals across the gap. Archibald looking pretty comfortable, lining up behind. Annette Edmondson, Amy Peters alongside her, former teammates in the Wiggle High 5 team. There's Archibald, who's again dyed her hair blue. Amy Peters right on the wheel. Now Annette Edmondson in for Australia. Moving up on the outside comes the team of Belgium, which is the former world champions, Lotte Kopecky and Jolien Dora. Kopecky there, in on the string. Coming up to the next sprint, Great Britain lead, 8 points to 7. Who's going to take this one? A big acceleration as Laura Kenny goes for it again. Kirsten Wild trying to get on terms. Wild really working hard. Kenny sprinting. Wild is trying to get past her, but Kenny takes it again. Wild takes second. Kirsten Wild, triple world champion in 2018. Kenny got the march on her that time. 49 laps to go. Great Britain leads, 5 points to them that time. Netherlands 3, Australia 2 and Belgium 1. The powerhouses of women's Madison racing. Great Britain now lead with 13. 9 to Australia, 6 to the Netherlands. France still have 1 point, down in 5th. Madison racing now all about the points. If you take a lap, you get 20 points. Used to be you lost everyone else lost a lap, and now it's all just about points. Whoops, Katie Archibald and Laura Kenny completely missed a change. Archibald saying to Laura, right, let's do a change here, and then Laura Kenny wasn't ready. Archibald all over the track here looking for her teammate. Moving up on the outside comes Aline Zeitz of the Switzerland team in the red, white and green. Throws her partner into the action. Andrea Wilders now in for Switzerland on the front of the race. Belgian team looking interested with Jolien Dora. Dora just setting the tempo. A few gaps now in the string. Looks like Laura Kenny is safely back in the peloton. Jolien Dora, another very good sprinter on the road. Her and Kopecky were the first ever winners of the Madison a couple of years ago. Kirsten Wild on the wheel now. Laura Kenny going to block her in. Very clever the way Laura Kenny races. Wild throws Amy Peters into the action. Peters, who's won races like Omloop, Neusplat and Drenthe. Kenny and Archibald look to me to be getting used to the Madison here. They don't seem to be as fluid as perhaps they might be, but Archibald now on the front with 1 lap to go to the next sprint. She puts in the cadence really high. Annette Edmondson trying to challenge her. Archibald doesn't quite have the legs that time. Archibald may well be suffering in this race. Annette Edmondson goes across the line. She takes 5 and Edmondson's going to press on. She's got a big gap here to Archibald. Again, former teammates on the road. And Annette Edmondson is going to continue with this attack. 5 to Australia, 3 to Britain, 2 to the Netherlands, 1 to Belgium. Great Britain still leads 16 to 14. But it looks to me like Archibald's legs are not as good as they might be. Kenny pedals back across the gap. There's the Ireland team, number 14, that's Lydia Boylan, silver medalist in the Madison and the European Championships. Kenny just tapping out a nice rhythm on the front. They will talk when they do their hand slings. They do have a little bit of time to exchange some information. It's funny when you look at the front of this peloton, how many of these riders have ridden for the now defunct Wiggle High 5 team. Laura Kenny was one of the first riders in that team. Behind her, Kirsten Wild has ridden for Wiggle High 5. So is Amy Cure. So is Annette Edmondson. As has Archibald. Amy Cure alongside Archibald now. Jolien Dora's also ridden for them. Amy Peters now rides for the Bowles Dolmans team. She rode for Wiggle High 5 too. Number 9 now on the front from Poland, that's Victoria Pukulik. Polish team trying to get a few points on the board if they can. They're still on 0. Only 5 teams have scored points so far. It's a little bit of a dominant performance by Great Britain on Australia. 33 laps to go now. Edmondson looking around at Katie Archibald. The French riders moving up. France with Tori Berthaud and Marie Lenay. Different pairing for the French this time. Big move by Amy Cure. Amy Cure goes on the attack. The Tasmanian looking superb. Really kicking on now. Amy Cure. Looks like Ireland trying to get some points on the board. Amy Cure's going to secure the 5. Poland take 3. Ireland take 2. Great sprinted by Amy Cure. Just got married actually. Still down as Amy Cure on all the start lists. 5 points to Australia. 3 to Poland, 2 to Ireland, 1 to Belgium. Australia now go to the top of the leaderboard. 19 points to them. Great Britain on 16, which is maybe telling us that Archibald is suffering. Amy Cure just got married, so is now Amy Powells. I think she's kept her name as Amy Cure on the track for this little time. Her husband now has been a soigneur with the Quick Step team for a number of years. Soigneur to Elia Viviani and others. On the front of the race now, Maria Confalonieri throws her teammate Vittorio Guazzini into the action. Guazzini just relaxing, looking comfortable. 6 laps to go to the next sprint. Don't forget, if you'd like to join us on Twitter today, at UCI_cycling, at @McCrossan is where you can message me. Today, many of the British fans will be voting for their sports personality and hoping that Geraint Thomas, the winner of the Tour de France, will take it. Big time for all the countries to have those sports personality type award ceremonies. Anna van der Breggen won the Dutch one. On the front then, the Canadians been a little bit quiet. They were the bronze medalists in the Madison in Milton in Canada. Team of Alison Beveridge and Stephanie Roder. Kenny's having to do a little bit more work here. Two laps to go to the next sprint. Canada start to wind the pace up. Beveridge, a silver medalist in the World Championships in the team pursuit. Into the action then goes Stephanie Roder on the front. They finally found their legs in this competition. Roder looking for the points. Leading Archibald. Archibald may well have recovered here. Archibald finds some pace in those legs. She went through a really bad patch. Archibald leads that time. Kopecky second. And Archibald's going to try and continue and make everyone's legs hurt. 5 points to Great Britain, 3 to Belgium, 2 to the Netherlands, 1 to Italy that time. Which means that Great Britain should go back to the top of the leaderboard. And they do. 21 points now, 2 points between them and Australia. Then we're on the Netherlands on 3rd, then Belgium trying to sneak up to the podium now. The Italians on the front of the group in the blue. Yolene Dora on the wheels. This has been a very fast Madison, even despite the crashes and the The race being neutralised. 17 laps to go. We don't really know where the victory's going yet. Only 2 points between Great Britain and Australia. The next sprint will be for 5 points. 5, 3, 2 and 1. The final sprint will be 10 points. Big attack from the French squad. Everyone looking around at each other now. Peters comes in to throw Kirsten Wield into the action. Amy Cure. Notice the skin suit with the aero pockets for the number. Every little attention to detail from the Australians. Becoming very much like the Great Britain team in terms of the attention to detail. Not surprising when they got Simon Jones, who's now their performance director. Jones was at British Cycling, was also at Team Sky for a while, as he was brought in by Dave Brailsford to look at other sports and other opportunities and find ways that Team Sky could improve. Big move at the front then from the Italians. Gazzini trying to stretch the race a little bit. 12 laps to go. Gazzini comes up. Big hand sling from the Italians to try and keep the pace as high as possible. Maria Confanieri, normally a member of the Team Pursuit team. Katie Archibald, Olympic champion. She's giving everything. Here go the Italians, 1 lap to go to the sprint. Great Britain make a move on the outside, trying to go back further ahead, and Kenny is now accelerating hard. Kenny's going to put some distance now between them and Australia. Italy secure the 5 points. 10 laps to go. Italy took 5 that time. Great Britain took 3. Belgium 2, France 1. Which means that Great Britain will now be at the top of the leaderboard by 5 points. 24 points to Great Britain. 19 to Australia. Belgium now sneak into the top 3. The Netherlands looking for this. The final sprint will be all important. 10 points, 6, 4 and 2. Australia can still win. Great Britain can win. Belgium and the Netherlands tied in a bit of a battle now for the bronze medal. Seven laps remain. Edmondson ominously moves up, getting herself ready. Who is going to take this? 4 points between first and second place this time, and 5 points is the difference between first and second. The Australians have to win the sprint, and Great Britain have to come further down the field than second. Let's see what happens. 5 laps to go. Great Britain may well be just sit on the wheel and wait to see what happens, but that's not the way that they generally race. Annette Edmondson trying to get back on terms with Archibald. At the front then, and it is Canada who lead. Belgium and the Netherlands cannot beat the Great Britain team, but Australia can beat them. Flat out racing then, and it looks like the 2 teams at the top are going to miss out on the points potentially here. 3 laps to go. The Netherlands now on the front. Netherlands looking to put themselves into 3rd place. Maybe even into 2nd place if Australia don't score. Amy Peters is there on the front. The Swiss are looking for the maximum points. That would move them right up into 4th or 5th place. Big throw into the action for Great Britain, who are looking for this final sprint. Amy Cure now is making her move up. Laura Kenny goes to the front now, makes it look very, very simple. She just turns the afterburners on and goes clear. Laura Kenny has left everyone in her wake. She's going to pile on the pressure. She's going to win the Madison with Archibald. What a superb performance. Laura Kenny just left enough in the legs to show everyone why She is a multiple Olympic champion. There was absolutely no answer to that. The stylish pedaling of Laura Kenny just made that look so simple. Well done to Archibald and Kenny. I think Archibald went through an awful lot of pain in that race. She just didn't feel like she had, she's all smiles now. Look at the speed of Laura Kenny. Just whirring those pedals. Full gas by Laura Kenny. No need to look round, there was no one there. Well, she loves the London crowd. Laura Kenny warming down with Archibald. They take the victory with 34 points ahead of Australia in second. Belgium held on to third and the Netherlands down in fourth. That was how to win a Madison. All about the teamwork. Finally manages to get the helmet off. There they are, all celebrations. Two Olympic champions alongside each other. There's the final result of the women's Madison. Great Britain win with 34, Australia on 19. Belgium there took third, the Netherlands with a great team of Wild and Amy Peters down in fourth place. Then Italy, Switzerland with those final points moved into seventh. And only 9 teams scored points in that contest. There you are, you can digest the rest of what happened. The USA and the Russian Federation unable to finish after those big crashes. And a few teams losing laps along the way. As they recover then, the next race on the track will be the women's keirin. We're now at the final stage, so the first race will be for the riders who are racing for 7th to 12th places, and then it will be all about the gold medal ride-off. This is the rundown of the start list. Nikki de Grendler, the world champion, Tianxi Xiong, Pauline Grabosch of Germany, Jessica Lee of Hong Kong, China, Simona Krupa-Skaita and Laureen van Riesen, who has been the rider that everyone has been seeing a clean pair of wheels firing up the track. She is now in this 7th to 12th place. That is unusual for her in this winter season. Tianxi Xiong, 27 years of age now, Nikki de Grendler, all smiles in the rainbow bands. From China. Then we've got Laureen van Riesen and Pauline Grabosch. Hong Kong China rider, Jessica Lee, there in the blue, and this race about to get underway. The Derny bike works its way around the track. the Derny bike then will be on the front again, taking the pace up to around 50 kilometres an hour. Has to pedal that bike. Petrol engine in there, two-stroke engine. Just keep the pedals turning over to keep the momentum, keep it nice and smooth. Grabosch following the Derny bike. Behind her Van Riesen, Jessica Lee, Nikki de Grendele there in the white, Tianxi Xiong and Simona Krupaskaita in the yellow and green at the back. All of these riders have got really good palmarès in track sprinting. The crowd now in this London velodrome, they know so much about track cycling, they're just taking it all in. Noticeably, the minute a British rider goes to the front, they absolutely raise the roof. They really do know their stuff. Even when you go around this velodrome, the restaurants around are used to now having Olympic champions, world champions go in for dinner. Lauren Van Riesen on the front now as she accelerates hard. She'll want to get her morale back after winning the last two rounds of the keirin in Berlin and Paris. Van Riesen accelerates hard. On her wheel, Tianxi Xiong, Pauline Grabosch trying to get back up. De Grendele looks like she's in the middle of a big training block to me. Doesn't quite have the legs. Van Riesen trying to come through to take this one. She's going to take it. She led so far out. Van Riesen, 7th place. Tianxi Xiong in 8th. Grabosch in 9th. And that's the rest of the riders. Van Riesen just lost out on getting through for the gold medal, but she secures some more points towards her aim of Tokyo. Average speed of that sprint, 63.031 kilometres an hour. There's confirmation of the result. Loreen Van Riesen takes 7th place. And this is the rundown of the start list for the final. Stephanie Morton there for Australia, Commonwealth champion in the sprint. Martha Bayona, who will be in here for Colombia. There she is, silver medalist in the World Championships. Katie Marchant, an Olympic medalist. Shmileva, also in here Ursula Loss of Poland, as the riders make their way up onto the track. Don't forget, join us on Twitter at UCI_cycling or at Macrossen this afternoon. Raymond Semple's asked me, do these sprinters all use the same gear ratios? No, generally not, as we take a look there at the Korean rider. Jin Lee, now we have Martha Bayona. These riders choose their own gear ratios, whatever works for them. This is Ursula Loss of Poland. Maria Shmileva. Some riders like to feel the cadence, so ride a really high speed. Other riders like to have that bit of power. Stephanie Morton there, 3 times a silver medalist in the World Championships. Broke the track record in qualification in Berlin in the sprint. Let's see who takes this one. The last race, 63 kilometres an hour over the final 200 metres. I think this is the loudest gun in world cycling, though. It makes everyone jump in here every single time it goes off. Morton now on the wheel of the Derny bike. Behind her, Shmileva. Shmileva likes to go from a long way out. It comes from her team sprint background, 3 times a world champion. Comes from her 500-metre background as well. Normally rides team sprint with Anastasia Voinova. Koinova, also a 500-metre world champion. Stephanie Morton generally now rides team sprint with Carly McCulloch. Katie Marchant there, sitting on the back of this group, a former athlete. Used to train with Jessa Ennis, then turned her attention to track cycling because she did a watt bike test one day and the coach realised just how much power she was putting out. Well, it's got her an Olympic medal so far. On the front then goes Morton, who's going to take this one. Morton now lets Katie Marchant go to the front. Morton in second place. Then Shmuleva. Shmuleva bounces Martha Bayona into the Côte d'Azur. Marchant on the front. I don't know if she really wants to be leading like this. Bayona, oh, a huge crash. Bayona's been all over the place in this keirin. Stephanie Morton goes to the front now, out of trouble. Marchant trying to get on terms. Shmuleva now in second place. Ursula Loss tries to go through. Marchant doesn't quite have the legs to go with that response. Here we go now with Morton in the lead. Stephanie Morton may well add a gold medal to her tally so far. Up to the line, Stephanie Morton takes it. Shmuleva second. Marchant recovered to third. Stephanie Morton will be very, very pleased with that performance now. She didn't quite have it in Berlin. She eased off when there was almost a crash. But look at Bayona. She just was in totally the wrong place, overlapping the wheel, leaning on Stephanie Morton, who just gave her a little nudge. But she really shouldn't have been on the inside like that. Also hitting the deck, Hai-Jin Lee, but Morton will take the victory. Shmuleva was closing fast, but Morton had enough time to get across the line there. A little look now, the commissaires are just looking back at what happened, just to make sure that Morton didn't cause any problems. But really, to me, Bayona was somewhere she shouldn't really have been. Morton didn't lose her line, I don't think. But having a look back at that, did she? Well, no, she was going up the track. Bayona just overlapping wheels, and Hai-Jin Lee had nowhere to go. That was a big crash. 63.734 kilometers an hour. The commissaire is just looking through. I will get confirmation on any screen. Three very experienced commissaires in there, including Louise Jones, who now lives in Australia. She'll have a sore head, I'm sure, Hai-Jin Lee, for a little while. They'll be very careful with things like concussion now. Louise Jones, a former sprinter there on the left-hand side, a Commonwealth medalist, rode for Wales. And Louise will know the tough and the tumble, the fights and tumbles that go on in these races, and she'll be very, very fair about whether it's an infraction by Stephanie Morton or not. But there's the result, and Morton maintains her gold medal. Second, Shmuleva, Ursula Loss of Poland. We haven't seen her perform in the World Cups like this. Into third place. Katie Marchant took fourth at that time. And Bayona and Hai-Jin Lee left on the track in the Côte d'Azur. Stephanie Morton smiling away then. It's been a very, very good last few weeks for her. Has been in Europe for a long time, so she's firmly over the jet lag of Australia. She can go back now to Australia for Christmas and knowledge that she is right on form. Live coverage again now of the men's sprint. We're at the gold medal ride-off. This is the lineup. The bronze medal between Jack Carlin and Jeffrey Hoogland, the gold between the Dutchman Lavrazen and the Australian Glaetzer. First race coming up onto the track then, Carlin up against Hoogland. Again, this will be the best of 3 races if required. Carlin in the racing green and Hoogland in the colours of the European champion. Underway, Carlin at the front. Hoogland, European champion, world champion of the team sprint. Lost out to Glaetzer last time. Carlin just making his way up the track. Almost turns back on himself. He's not allowed to turn back on himself, but he almost does. He's so at home on these boards. Again to a standstill, keeping an eye on that giant screen as Hoogland comes alongside him. The judge here in the middle will put the time clock on. They're only allowed to stay here for a certain period of time. Carlin sneaks off and he's almost trying to make Hoogland go first, and he has done. That's a superb ride there by Jack Carlin of Great Britain. Hoogland goes high on the track. Carlin second place there. Got the aero socks on both of them just to help with the aero flow. Carlin kicks back down. You'll notice how dynamic he is. He doesn't like to ride smoothly. Hoogland on the front. Carlin goes high again. Hoogland down at the bottom of the track now. He's inside the red sprinters line first. Now he turns on the gas. Carlin makes his move on the outside. Has he got enough out of turn 4? Whoa, a photograph, but I think that Carlin took it. Carlin takes it actually without the photograph. 1-0 to the British rider for the bronze medal. There's the result then of the first ride. Carlin takes it, Hoogland second place. So 1-0 to Carlin, and they will come back for the second race in a little while. There's the replay. Hoogland trying to hold off Carlin, but he just had no answer. Onto the track for the gold medal ride. Lavrazen in the orange. Glaetzer in the rainbow bands. Glaetzer this time will want to ensure that he doesn't take it to a decider. He'll want 2 straight rides, nice safely through, back to Australia. Lavrazen at the front. Drops down onto the Côte d'Azur. Just getting himself comfortable on the bike before this sprint really happens. All these sprinters, you can just see these little rituals. Raisin just wrapping his hands safely around the bars. Glaetzer unusually doesn't use sprinters' gloves. All the other sprinters generally will either use powder on the hands like Glaetzer does, or they have full gloves. Because if you crash in these sprints, you take an awful lot of skin off those hands. Many of the sprinters now, like Glaetzer, they don't even have handlebar tape on the carbon bars, and they just put the powder, the chalk, onto the hands and just hold the bars, so it gives them a nice easy grip. Almost like a weightlifter does when they're going to hold the bar. Exactly the same. Glaetzer now up at the top of the track. Raisin starting to wind the sprint up. Glaetzer dives down early, goes high yet again. Raisin still has the lead. Glaetzer having to work hard. He goes high again. Raisin's going to dive inside the red line, but Glaetzer has some speed here. Just looking to get himself in the slipstream. But Raisin's looking very, very good against the world champion. Has Glaetzer got anything? Well, he doesn't. Raisin goes number one that time. 1-0 to the Dutchman against the world champion. Well, we're not generally seeing sprinting going the way we would expect it to go over the last few rounds. Raisin looking superb, out the saddle, getting some more power. And Glaetzer having to work and work and work and just not able to get there. Confirmation on the screen. Raisin 1-0. Take a look back then at some of the highlights of the last few days. This is the women's sprint finals. The bronze medal ride between Loreen van Riesen in the red, white and blue, and Elena Stardykova in the colours of the Ukraine in the blue and yellow. And this is race one for the bronze medal. Van Riesen really on form at the moment, up at the top of the track. So Van Riesen nice and high. Stardykova, bronze medalist in the World Cup in Berlin actually. Down to the bottom of the track then. Stardykova thought about closing the door. Van Riesen sneaks through on the inside now. Who is going to take this first race? Van Riesen on the front. Stardykova, 22 years of age, the Ukrainian rider. Van Riesen accelerating even more. Looks like Stardykova trying to come back on terms with Van Riesen, but on the outside Stardykova doesn't quite make it. Van Riesen goes 1-0 in the race for the bronze medal. Up on the track, Stephanie Morton of Australia against Emma Heinze. The German rider, 21 years of age. Haven't seen too much of her, but she is now in the German team and starting to look better and better all the time. They're pairing her with Miriam Welter for some of the team sprints. Rode well in Berlin. Of course, the German team now have to find the replacement for Christina Vogel. She's not a rider you can replace. Multiple Olympic champion and world champion, and unfortunately now in a wheelchair after that terrible training accident. Christina, if you follow her on Instagram, she's not letting anything like that stop her. I sat down with her in Berlin a couple of weeks ago and had a chat to her, the first time I'd seen her since her accident, and you cannot believe how positive she is. She says she has her bad days, but she is without doubt a very, very positive individual. Emma Heinze are now on the front. Stephanie Morton at the top of the track. Who is going to take the gold medal in this World Cup? Emma Heinze trying to get ahead here of Stephanie Morton. Morton trying to come round the outside. Morton has more speed in towards the finish. She goes 1-0. Ross Edgar gives her a round of applause. Well, in Berlin, Morton was in the middle of a huge training block. She was training and in the gym, even in the middle of the World Cup, and they were surprised how well she went. Back now to race number 2 in the women's sprint finals. This is the bronze medal race. Laureen van Riesen up against Elena Stardikova. Van Riesen will not want to let Stardikova back in. Stardikova, twice a silver medalist in the European Championships in the 500-meter time trial and in the sprint. She's really an emerging talent in the sprint. Van Riesen starts to accelerate, not going to let Stardikova get ahead here. Stardikova into the slipstream. Van Riesen still in the lead, accelerates again as she makes her way down the back straight towards turn 3, into turn 3 now. Stardikova still having to work hard as they come out of turn 4. Can she get there? She doesn't manage to do it. Van Riesen wins 2-0. Great sprinting by the Dutch sprinter. She takes the bronze medal. Race number 2 of the contest between Stephanie Morton and Emma Heinze. Morton 1-0 up. On this form, Stephanie Morton will be looking to try and win the world title in the races in a couple of months' time. Bearing in mind, Morton is the rider who is in the middle of training and still winning the World Cups. Right up at the top of the track, Emma Heinze trying to get back now to make it 1-1. Morton just holding her, riding the blue stayers line. Heinze goes high, trying to get a little bit more speed. Morton now starts to kick hard. Stephanie Morton puts on the speed down the back straight, coming in towards the finish line now. Morton accelerates away, she wins, she takes the gold medal. 2-0 to Stephanie Morton, and Ross Edgar for the first time breaks out with a smile. There's our podium. Stephanie Morton takes the gold medal.
You know, for me, it was just really about executing the races tonight, and crossing the line first is just going to be a bonus. So I'm really happy with how the races planned out, tactically and technically. But yeah, to walk away with a medal, I'm really, really happy.
Well done, Stephanie Morton. We turn our attention then to the men's team pursuit. The European champions, the Italians. Really strong squad here. Viviani, Olympic Omnium champion, Bertazzo, Lamont and Scartezzini up against a young British team, some of whom are still juniors. Walls, Tidball, Vernon and Wright. On paper, you will expect the Italians to beat the British team by a considerable margin. The Italians with so much power in these these riders, particularly led by Viviani. Bertazzo and Lamont, bronze medalists in the World Championships. The British team, some of their academy riders, led by Matt Bramier, who is now coaching them. And initially, though, Great Britain ahead by 0.651. And now the Italians starting to peg this back, as you would expect. So a completely changed British team. None of their Olympic champions in this squad. And Great Britain now still ahead by 0.598 as we go up towards the opening kilometre. Italy on the back foot a little bit, but starting to wind it back. 0.405 through the 1K. Italy now go ahead. Matt Bramier concentrating hard there. Matt's wife Nikki, a great cyclocross rider. 0.474, now 0.630 as the Italians start to pile on the pressure. Usual Italian trainer in the middle of the track. Great Britain going further behind, almost a second now as the Italians, in fact more than a second, as the Italians still ahead, 1.5 seconds. This British team have got a lot of work to do. 1.162 is the deficit with 1 lap to go. But Great Britain now bring it back to 0.915. The Italians have led since the kilometre point. Italy looking good, but Great Britain firing on all cylinders now as they make their way up towards the finish. Who's going to take it? On the line, oh, that was so close. And Great Britain take the bronze medal. What a performance on the last lap by 0.030. How did they bring that back? They were almost a second behind, 0.9 behind with a lap to go. Well, another British team on the track. It's now a more cosmopolitan team than it was. Hub Wattbike up against Belgium for the gold medal. Belgium with De Wilde, De Ketelaar, Gies and De Boucher. The gold medal ride. Hub Wattbike are the disruptors in team pursuiting. They are the team who, as all of you probably know the story by now, who started to ride the World Cups because they couldn't get selected for Great Britain. Slowly but surely have disrupted everything to the point where they're now in a gold medal ride, but they're a bit of a mess off the start here. They've brought in Ashton Landy, the American rider, who is the individual pursuit world record holder at 4 minutes 7.251. And now they've got things back together after 500 metres of being all over the place. Belgium looking strong. 0.759 now ahead of the Hub Wattbike test team. They've now got some assistance from the Boardman Performance Centre. Chris Boardman not too far away from me here. He's built a wind tunnel in the middle of Great Britain, and now Hub Wattbike are using that for some of their research. They are a team of some of them aerodynamic specialists, in particular Dan Bigham. Now Dan Bigham also helped the Canyon SRAM team to their team time trial world title. He is a proper expert in how to get a cohesive team go very, very fast. Belgium still ahead, 0.764 now. Now they go ahead to 0.8, almost a second ahead. The Hub Wattbike team lose a rider down to 3. That's not ideal. Little messy so far. Coming up now, still behind for Hub Wattbike by 0.481. Belgium look to be sealing this at 3 kilometres. The crowd really getting behind this team, and Hub Wattbike are coming back somehow. They are finding a bit of pace. 0.272, the team of Archibald, Bigham, Lambie and Whale. 500 metres to go, and look at this, they've gone ahead by 0.082. That was a really strong performance on the front by Ashton Lambie. And now Belgium are in trouble. Hub Wattbike are going ahead. 0.672. Hub Watt Bike have not won a World Cup. It's taken them 2 seasons and they look like they're about to do it. Hub Watt Bike hit the line, they do it. 1.288. And they finally take the World Cup win they've been looking for. All that hard work pays off. There's our podium, the win for Hub Watt Bike, the disruptors of team pursuiting.
These guys called me up a few weeks ago. Just had the opportunity. USA Cycling isn't here with the men's team, so I'm more than happy to race with these guys. It's awesome. It's a good group. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Ashton Lambie, who was the rider who was in that team. Coming back now to the men's sprint. Back with live coverage. Up on the track, Lavrazen and will be up against Glaetzer for the gold medal ride. This is Carlin against Hoogland. Carlin has decided to line up way down the track on the blue line. The riders can choose exactly where they want to go. Hoogland just talking to his coach. Carlin is 1-0 for the bronze medal. Hoogland has to take this to a decider if he can. Silence falls in this velodrome. Hoogland on the front in the white and blue. Carlin just hanging back a little bit. Comes from Paisley in Scotland. Not too far from the Chris Hoy velodrome. So Chris Hoy is in the middle of the velodrome right now. He's presenting on television. He's been here the last couple of days, just sitting in the track centre, generally with Craig McLean, reminiscing over old times and watching the racing. Hoogland. What are his tactics going to be to beat this British rider and take it to the decider? Carlin goes right up the track. Again, this style where he likes to just throw the bike a little bit around the track. And he just plays games with his opponents. He doesn't like to give them an easy time. Hoogland throws Carlin back up the track. Carlin now accelerating hard. Hoogland knows he has to beat him. Carlin is into the slipstream. To me, he looks like he's got the speed. Hoogland looking good. Carlin right on the hip now of Hoogland. Has he got it? Oh, the legs gave out round that turn. And Hoogland now makes it a deciding race. Carlin looked to have that one absolutely sorted, and then suddenly the legs just didn't have the speed. There's the replay. Look, he was right in on the slipstream. And then Hoogland accelerated again, and Carlin just didn't have it when they got in. I'm just wondering whether the judges might look at that. I don't think Hoogland came out of the red line. Carlin shakes his head. Around that turn, Hoogland was very, very close to the red line. We will go back to a decider for the bronze medal. Matthew Glaetzer, the world sprint champion, will not want to go back to Australia without a gold here in London. He's 1-0 down to Harry Lavraisen. Lavraisen goes to the top of the track there, 1-0. Again, this can go to a decider. It's unusual that sprinting does, but these contests are so close. Glaetzer on the front. Lavraisen just hanging back a little bit. Glaetzer's got to get his tactics right this time. Keeping an eye on the Dutchman. The Dutchman goes on the inside. Oh, moves up the track again. He's really forcing Glaetzer to accelerate, and Lavraisen likes to go from a fast pace. This is playing into the Dutchman's hands so well. Glaetzer now starts to turn up the pressure. Oh, look at that. Big mistake by Matthew Glaetzer. He left the door open. Lavraisen went on the inside on the sprinter's line, and he's now going to accelerate away. Wow. Gold medal to Lavraisen. That was a huge mistake by Matthew Glaetzer. Superb racing. Harry Lavraisen wins the World Cup here in London and dismisses the world champion 2-0. Maybe one race too many for Matthew Glaetzer here in Europe over the last few weeks. He'll head back to Australia. Look at this. Glaetzer accelerates. I can't. He left the door open. I've not seen him do that. Harry Lavraisen accelerates away. He takes the gold. Lovely celebration by Harry Lavraisen. He's still celebrating. The commissaire's just looking at what happened, but to be honest, to me, Glaetzer just left the door open totally. Glaetzer wasn't. Let's just take a look here. I think Hoogland came out of the red. He did. The front wheel is out of the red line. Here we are. This is the replay. I thought the commissaires might take a look at this. Carlin will have complained. And the front wheel came outside the red line. It's not allowed. I'm just waiting to hear whether the judges will change the decision. If it does, then Carlin would be the bronze medal winner. We'll wait and find out if that happens. Let's take a look back then at some more action from the last few days. This is the women's team pursuit finals. For the bronze medal, Italy up against the British team of Team Breeze. Again, an academy team like Team Inspire, but the women's team is called Team Breeze. The Italian team up here on the track. A very young British team. They're in the red. The bronze medal team ride between Italy and Team Breeze should be interesting. Italy with Balsamo, Frapporti, Gazzini and Valsecchi, so experienced in team pursuiting. Great Britain in the red with Jess Roberts, the national road race champion. She surprised everybody when she took that title in Northumberland, beating the likes of Danny Rowe, who's actually just announced her retirement. So the initial stages, Italy just slightly ahead by 0.038. The Italians settling into their rhythm nicely, 0.308 ahead of Team Breeze, Jenny Hall, Josie Knight, Rebecca Raybould and Jess Roberts. The Italians going further ahead now, 0.799 through the first 500 metres. As we head in towards the conclusion of this race, and the Italians just get it ahead of Team Breeze. But the clock looking a little bit all over the place there. Back with the gold medal ride. The Italians taking the bronze in 4:23.765. Now up for the gold medal ride. It is Great Britain up against the United States of America. Some of this team from the United States, of course, are world champions. Two of them, Kelly Catlin and Kimberly Geist, bringing in Christina Birch and Emma White. At the moment, Chloe Dygert, unfortunately, has been injured, so she's unable to help this American team. Great Britain with Archibald Dickinson, Nia Evans and Laura Kenny, two Olympic champions in this Great Britain team. Ellie Dickinson, a Madison European champion, and Nia Evans, silver medalist in the Commonwealth Games in the scratch race and bronze medalist in the points race. USA slightly behind, 0.776. Great Britain, the European champions, they've been trying out a few different ways of winning races, and now they are really starting to put the Americans on the rack. Urged on by their coach, Paul Manning, in his lovely Christmas jumper, and his Christmas present looks like it's going to be the Great Britain team who are going to overlap the United States of America potentially. Well, the lights are flashing on the antlers of Rudolph on Paul Manning's jumper. And this is a sparkling display by Great Britain as they really put the pressure on. Not long now, they will overlap the United States in less than 3,000 metres. No doubt who's going to be the victors. Great Britain have literally shown that they are vastly quicker than any other squad on this track. Great Britain take it, they overlap the Americans, whoops, and sneak through just about. And there's our medalists. Great Britain take the gold medal.
Yeah, all's well that ends well. We were really excited about that. I mean, we qualified well, and I think that's maybe gotten the Americans' head and been their downfall in the end. And yeah, the catch came far sooner than we thought, and a bit of mayhem, but ended in success.
A little bit of mayhem in catching them. As we turn our attention to the women's team sprint finals, for the bronze medal it was the Netherlands up against France. The Netherlands with Kira Lamberink, who's been riding the World Cups recently, silver medalist in the World Championships, paired with Shanna Braspanning, silver medalist in the keirin in the World Championships in 2015. Bringing back France, Sandy Claire, Matilda Gross alongside her. Team sprint, 2 laps of the track. Really powerful contest this. Who's going to take this? The Dutch sprinters for the women are really strong now as well. Their track program is producing some real talent off the start then. And the French team in a little bit of a mess here. The Dutch team flat out. Lamberink and Braspanning's looking good. The French have got a lot of work to do, but only 0.049 behind. 1 lap to go. 0.222 is the deficit for France to make up. Now they start to accelerate. Who's going to take the bronze medal? Is it going to be the Dutch? Is it going to be the French? as they make their way into the conclusion of this ride. No real doubt the Dutch take it with a speed of 54.307 kilometers an hour. Very well executed indeed. The gold medal ride. Miriam Velter in the rainbow bands as the world champion. She was world champion with Christina Vogel. Paired now with Heinz alongside the silver medalist in the world championships in 2014. Jun Hong Ling and Chan Chi Shong. Counting down to the start. Miriam Velter, so fast off the start, world champion of the 500-meter time trial in 2018. The Chinese looking to try and take this gold medal away from the German squad. They're a very cohesive squad, this Chinese team. Through the opening 250, and it's Germany slightly ahead by 0.145. The Chinese have got a little bit of work to do. Who's going to take this as they make their way in towards the finish line? Oh, so close. The Chinese take it by 0.037. Superb performance by China. They're beefing up their coaching team all the time. People's Republic of China take the gold. Here's the start list then for the Omnium, and this is the men's Omnium after the elimination race. Walls is leading with 112 points. Volikakis close behind, Viviani on 106 and Mora on 100 points. We're going to step in with one sprint gone so far. Coming up to the second sprint. And there's the run through with Terry Scher there leading that board. Mark Potts of Ireland in 12th place. And we're live now, 80 laps to go as we just see sprint number 2. Coming up to take the next points. Looks like it's going to be the Spanish rider who takes it, but one rider is clear. This is Ignacio Prado, the Mexican rider, who has got 5 points that time. Mora took 3. De Vilder, I think, was in 3rd place, but we'll get confirmation. There we are on the screen. Prado takes 5, Mora takes 3, De Vilder takes 2, and Scher takes 1 point. Here's the current standings. Matthew Walls of Great Britain still leads. 2 points his advantage on Volikakis, and Viviani in 3rd. Now this is a look back. There was a big crash here, and Viviani took a huge tumble. And Willem van Schip also. God, Viviani just had nowhere to go. Luckily, he's not broken anything in that crash. Took a huge tumble there. So did Van Schip. Van Schip's not having a great time in this this Omnium contest at this moment in time. Ignacio Prado trying to come across. Currently on 91. This will put him on 111 if he gets there. And that will put him into 2nd place. Superb ride here by Ignacio Prado. He's going to leapfrog Ilia Viviani. Viviani constantly just checking his hands and making sure he's okay. He's in the middle of preparation for the road season as well as riding here on the track. Prado almost there. Prado is just about to get there. Making his way up towards the back of the string now. Prado is almost there now. Look at this, closing in. Tantalizingly close to the back of the group. Now an attack at the front. Comes from the Ukrainian rider as he tries to go clear to take a few points here. This is Vitaly Hirnev. Is Prado going to get there? If he does, he's going to be into second place, and now the sprint's going to happen. Prado's going to try and take the 5, but those legs are hurting. You can see the way he's pedaling. Prado's going to secure another 5 points, which he does, so that's going to move him up even more. And actually, this could put Prado into the lead of this race. Second place goes to Krocic and Hirnev, and Prado now on the back of the group is almost there. But we've been saying that for a few laps. 69 laps to go. Can he get there? Just needs a few meters. Now he gets a little bit of speed in the legs. Sprint 3 then. Prado took 5. Harwich took 3. But importantly, Walls took 1. But Prado, the minute he gets there, is going to go into the lead in this Omnium overall. The points race adds all your points together, and then the rider who's on the most points at the end becomes the winner. Prado is nearly there. He finally does it. 20 points to Ignacio Prado. And that means that he will go into the lead of this race by 2 points. Took him a long, long time to get there. 65 laps to go. Confirmation then that Ignacio Prado leads 116 to 114 of Walls, 111 of Volikakis, and Viviani after that crash is now down in 4th with 106 points. Things calm down a little bit. Viviani doesn't look to have picked up too much. Let's take another look at that crash. This is what happens. Van Schip was just not concentrating, hit the wheel. Viviani with a huge crash. Seem to be any problems for Viviani. 64 laps to go. A couple of teams going clear, and one of them is the Great Britain rider Matthew Walls with Sebastian Mora. Mora now is in 5th place on 103. These two riders combining at the front. Good moment for Matthew Walls. He does look like Cavendish behind that helmet, doesn't he? And he's already won quite a lot of races on the road. Only 20 years of age. He's got a little bit of the swagger of Mark Cavendish as well. Coming up to the next sprint. Sprint number 4. Walls is going to try and take this to secure first place again. This would put him... Prado now is trying to go clear off the front of the peloton. Walls takes 5. Mora takes 3. Prado has found some speed in those legs. He manages to secure 1. Let's take a look at how this changes things. Matthew Walls on 5. Mora on 3. Volikakis took 2. Prado secured 1 point. But I think Walls will go back. Yes, he does, to 119. Prado on 117. Volikakis on 113. And Viviani staying in 4th place. Viviani settled for 5th in Berlin. He'd really like to be on the podium here. Prado in the front of the peloton. The Irish rider coming across. Still 3 riders away, trying to secure the lap. Volikakis is there. He's 3rd overall now. 3 key riders in this competition now ahead of the peloton. Matthew Walls of Great Britain, Volikakis and Sebastian Mora. If these 3 riders take a lap, they will go firmly to the top of the leaderboard. The peloton now coming back. 56 laps to go. Will they continue? Now the counter-attack. One rider trying to go clear. Looks like Moritz Malcherek. Slowly but surely the peloton are bringing this all back together. Not the first time Viviani has crashed in a points race in an Omnium. You'll remember in Rio, he crashed and still went on to take the gold medal. Jan Willem van Schip, he's safely up. And he's now pedalling across. And this race is about to come all back together. 53 laps remain. Thank you to all of you for joining us. If you'd like to join us on Twitter this afternoon, at @McCross and @UCI_cycling. Let us know what you're thinking of the racing so far this afternoon. We're of course bringing you the live coverage and the highlights of the last few days. Next sprint coming up, 51 laps to go. And Willem van Schip, who currently lies 6th overall in the orange. On the front, Mora in second. Viviani on the hunt for some points now. He's obviously recovered too. This time it's van Schip from Mora, from I think Viviani. In fact, I think De Wilde sneaked in, maybe to take 4th, and Viviani took 3rd. There we are, confirmation. Van Schip 5, Mora with 3, Viviani on 2, and De Wilde on 1, which will leave things relatively unchanged. Still, Matthew Walls of Great Britain leads, 1:19. Prado now 1:17. Volikakis, Mora, and behind them is Viviani on 1:08. An attack from the German rider, again, Moritz Malczarek. Position overall for him is 13th, 46 points he has. He's not troubling anyone in this omnium. This is the first time you've seen the omnium. 4 different races, the riders securing points for their position at the end of every race. And then the points race is the final race, and that just adds to the points they've accumulated. 5 points for the winner of each sprint, 20 points if you take a lap, and 10 points for the final sprint of the actual points race itself. "45 laps remain." Still riders just doing a little turn on the front. No one really prepared to take on the initiative now. Van Schip, a little bit of tape over here, the name of the bike that he's riding. Clearly doesn't match his sponsor's expectations. Behind him is the Danish rider, Casper von Folsack, a very good team pursuiter. On the front of the race now, number 13 from France, it's Donovan Grondin. Normally they use different riders to ride the omnium, but they're testing out different riders all the time. Van Schip is in this little trio on the back. See a little bit of track burn on the back of the skin suit. 41 laps to go. Sprint lap coming up. This is an all-important sprint now. Van Schip trying to move up the standings. This would take him on to 100 points if he can secure these points. The Frenchman now on the front. Van Schip moves smoothly through. Such a tall rider. 6 sprints gone. Van Schip is going to be a bit sore tomorrow morning. You can see the track burn through the shorts. 5 points to him that time. Grondin took 3, von Folsack took 2. And Matthew Walls is still in the lead, and now he's making another move. Walls has a 2-point advantage. Makes his way across to the leaders with a really fast move then by Matthew Walls. Now he sits in. He just looks superb on the bike. De Wilde looks around. In the lead then, this group of riders. Matthew Walls goes to the front. He's trying to stretch this one out a little bit. Viviani trying to fight his way back. Viviani with really straight arms. I think he's in a little bit of pain after that crash. Walls now on the front, putting everyone under a little bit of pressure. 119 points. Only 36 laps to go. So we have sprints at 30 laps to go, 20 and 10 there for 5 points. And the final sprint for 10 on the finish line. Von Folsack going clear. Prado now in second place, just trying to recover and get some more points on the board. These riders, the recovery is so important in the Omnium now. You just have not too long between each race. There goes Viviani, a big attack. That gold bike glittering as he makes his way clear. Look at that. Full-on bling from Elia Viviani. Viviani now attacking hard. Walls trying to just follow what's going on. Viviani now going clear. Walls has got to measure this one, because Viviani could very quickly go to the top of the leaderboard if Walls is not vigilant. Now the acceleration comes back. Van Schip made his way across. Walls now attacks again. Prado on his wheel, coming up to 31 laps to go with the bell lap this time for the sprint. Walls in the lead. Prado tucked in on the wheel. Von Folsack doesn't seem to have a legs. The mouth is wide open. Prado and Walls going shoulder to shoulder. Prado's going to take the points this time, which means they're going to be absolutely equal, I think, on points. This is going to be right down to the wire. Prado took 5, Walls took 3, Von Folsack 2, Van Schip took 1. And they're going clear from the front of the peloton. The two riders at the top of the leaderboard, tied on points at 1-2-2. Polikakis on a 1-1-3, then Mora, then Viviani. Walls, is he doing a little bit too much work in the middle of this race? 27 laps to go. Viviani tests them out again. Walls has to respond. Van Schip is there. Jumping on the inside goes Prado. It's a very interesting race. Mora now goes to the front. Still, any one of the top 5 could win. Prado now stretches this race out. Look at that. Prado going clear. He's almost like he's in slow motion when he's riding. He belies the speed he's putting out. It looks like he's got sore legs all the time, which he probably has, but he just churns the pedals over. 4 riders clear. In the red and yellow is Mora. Behind him is Matthew Walls. Prado is in the group. Can they combine? Von Folsack is suffering quite badly here. He's just trying to surf the wheels. He's not able to do a turn. That's going to slow them down. Van Schip pedals his way across. Little groups all over this track now. Only 23 laps to go. Prado sneaks back up to the top of the banking, goes back onto the wheel of Matthew Walls, watching him very carefully. Now it all comes back together. Van Schip riding on adrenaline here is Jan Willem Van Schip. The minute he stops, he's going to feel every little bit of pain from those track burns. 1 lap to go to the next sprint. On the front, Van Schip, behind him Mora. Walls moves up. Prado, can he respond to Matthew Walls this time? It looks like Walls is going to secure some points. He will go slightly ahead now of Prado by 1 point. This is so tight. Only 2 more sprints remain. Confirmation that time. Van Schip took 5. Mora took 3. Walls took 2. Prado, his main adversary, took 1. This Mexican rider is looking superbly strong this afternoon. And now 1 point between Walls and Prado. I'm just looking, has Viviani just pulled off the track? I think he has. Viviani now in the inside of the track. Has he got a puncture or is he giving in? No, he's back on another bike. He's not happy with how that bike's performing after that crash. Viviani's safely back into the action now. Big attack at the front comes from the German rider. Mora trying to respond. Walls now attacks as well. Prado is left a little bit behind, just 1 point separating those two riders. Polikakis 10 points behind Prado, then Mora 11 points behind. Only 15 laps now remain. The German rider is no danger to anyone. Malcherek, he's way down the standings. 46 points is accumulated. Matthew Walls now on the wheel of Prado. Behind him Van Schip. Mora sitting in there. 14 laps to go. The German rider may well take a lap. No one is really worried. It would put him into 11th place overall, leapfrogging Mark Potts of Ireland. Right, who's going to take this Omnium overall? Remember, they've had 4 different races in one day. And here goes the response of Ireland. Well, that's no surprise, is it? Mark Potts knows now that the German rider could go ahead of him, so he's just safeguarding his lead overall, and what he's trying to do is stretch the race out. Mark Potts goes to the front. Van Schip is in second place. The German rider should secure the 5. The Irish rider, Mark Potts, going now to get a few more points. Huge reaction from the crowd as the German rider takes 5. In second place is going to be the British rider taking 3. And that's going to move him into a 4-point advantage now. But he still has to be very vigilant on the last sprint. The rumble of the Gold Factory. Confirmation then of sprint 9. Malcherek took 5, Walls took 3, Van Schip 2, Mark Potts took 1. Walls now on 1-2-7, Prado on 1-2-3. And it's really between those two riders. Now the situation, 10 points to the winner. 6, 4 and 2. It's very, very close. It will come down to that final sprint. If Walls wins it, he's okay. If Prado wins it and Walls is second, then they're going to be tied on points and it will be on count back. Right, who's going to take it? Walls is not too worried about even scoring points here as long as Prado doesn't. So he's going to stay on him. 6 laps to go. But if a British young rider wins here in London, the crowd are going to go absolutely crazy. Walls doing everything he needs to do. Prado just in front of him. Prado goes to the top of the track. Some riders going clear. And Walls will be really happy with that. That would mean he'll take the victory. Clever riding by the British youngster. Canada going clear. Aidan Caves, a 23-year-old bronze medalist in the Commonwealth Games. At this moment in time, it's all going to be academic. It's going to come down to Matthew Walls. And he is going to match Prado out of this race. Walls now attacks Prado. He goes clear. Prado can't respond. A big acceleration by the British rider. The Canadian rider's going to take the 10 points. And it's going to be a victory here in the Omnium for the British youngster. In front of his home crowd, Matthew Walls wins the Omnium. By the looks of things, he's going clear and he's going to secure points. He's coming up to the wheel of Elia Viviani. giving everything he possibly can. The final sprint is going to go to the Canadian, but Walls is going to secure some points as well here. Viviani's trying to close up to secure some final points, and actually Viviani would get the bronze. Look at this for a sprint. Viviani needs the 10. Can he get past Caves? Caves takes it. It's a win for Matthew Walls. He takes the victory in the Omnium. Superb racing. Viviani, I think, will just take the bronze medal with that sprint, and Prado will take the silver. The crowd on their feet. The 20-year-old British youngster, a European champion in the elimination. 131 points by my reckoning. Viviani, with that sprint, takes third place. He gets on the podium, the Olympic Omnium champion, despite a crash. That was a really thrilling finish. Matthew Walls got good legs here in London. Prado will take the silver, and Viviani will take the bronze medal. Matthew Walls just warming down. There's the final standings. Walls took it, 131 points. Prado took second with 1, 2, 3. Viviani sneaked into the bronze medal position, and after a crash and not great legs, he will be much, much happier than he was in Berlin. Smiles from the coaches. Great racing, well done to Matthew Walls. A superb round of racing. Congratulated there by Matt Bramier, who's a former pro, of course, with many teams. In a moment then, we're going to turn our attention back to the men's sprint. Well, the talent factory of British cycling continues. Viviani just sitting there. Once the adrenaline stops of a race, he'll start to feel the pain of that crash. Clearly something is not right. But this was Matthew Walls as he raced to clear to secure the Omnium. Viviani will get checked over. It's a heavy crash, but he slid more than he hit the ground hard. He's just feeling the hip a little bit. That's going to hurt tomorrow. All those track burns, they really hurt. Here's Jack Carlin. So Viviani will just get cleaned up. Don't remember so many times that we've had deciding races in a World Cup, but that just shows you the depth of competition here in London. Carlin up on the track. This contest brings us back to the sprints then, to decide where the bronze medal is going. We already know that Lavraisen has taken the gold. Carlin took the first round, Hoogland took the second, and now we're into the decider. Alongside each other on the track. Carlin, to me, is a little tired. He just hasn't had the response that he had earlier on in the World Cup. Goes down to the Côte d'Azur, the blue area around the bottom of the track. Hoogland into a standstill, almost. Carlin is not going to use any more energy than he needs. Hoogland watching him intently. These riders with huge gears on the bike. Size of the chainring on the front, almost dinner plate size now. The gears have changed so much in the last few years. The thought behind it is you ride a huge gear on the huge chainring on the front and a larger sprocket on the back, which means that the tightness of the chain is not as extreme as it was. It means the chain runs much more smoothly, and all the sprinters are doing this, but the chain rings are getting bigger and bigger all the time. Carlin just starting to wind the pace up a little bit as he makes his way onto the boards. Remember, no brakes on these bikes, so he brings the bike to a standstill using the fixed gear. He just has to stop the pedaling. Carlin again looking across to see the screen, and this is really, really hard to bring to a standstill there. And Hoogland's decided, I don't want to be doing a standstill on a 43-degree banking. Carlin has really tested him out there. Hoogland goes high. Carlin's trying absolutely everything. He's so confident on this track. Carlin goes to the bottom. Hoogland trying to respond. Hoogland now goes to the top of the track, trying to use it like a big steep hill. He gets into the wheel of Carlin. I think Hoogland's going to take this. Carlin doesn't have a response. Carlin's legs really now tired. Hoogland takes it 2-0. Oh, sorry, 2-1. Carlin took the first race, but since then there's been no doubt that he just doesn't have the power left in the legs. Hoogland takes the bronze. Carlin takes 4th place. We turn our attention back then to the women's omnium, and this is the elimination race. Down to the last few riders. And on the front then is Kirsten Wheel, the world champion. Behind her, Lotte Kopecky. On her wheel is Amy Cure. And the American rider, Jennifer Valente. Jennifer Valente, silver medalist in the Olympic Games in the team pursuit. Eliminated that time, though. Valente taken out of the action. 3 riders remaining. Lotte Kopecky, world champion of the Madison. Kirsten Wild, 3 times world champion. Amy Cure dives on the inside on the Côte d'Azur. Amy Cure now attacking hard. World champion of the points race, 25 years of age now, Amy Cure, and gets rid of Lotte Kopecky. Down to the last 2. Amy Cure on the front. Amy Cure trying to get rid of Kirsten Wild. Wild trying to respond. Rides a much bigger gear. Makes her way up to the wheel of Amy Cure now. Cure still giving it everything she can. Wild going to go ahead now of Amy Cure. She will secure the elimination race and go to the top of the leaderboard in the Omnium overall. Kirsten Wild leads after 3 races, 1:16 to the 1:08 of Valente and Laurie Burton in 3rd. 21 laps to go in the points race. Kirsten Wild at the front has been looking really strong. On her wheel is the Italian rider, trying to get on terms. Jennifer Valente in 3rd place there. Kirsten Wild takes the sprint with 20 laps to go in the rainbow bands as the world champion of the Omnium. Conflans-Leonieri took 2nd, Valente took 3rd, Beveridge took 4th that time. Not many sprints left. Wild 1:24, Valente 1:18, Beveridge now on 97, Laurie Burton in 4th place. Laurie Burton, silver medalist in the World Championships in the Omnium. Now we see an attack, and it comes from the Japanese rider who's trying to go clear now, and this is Yumi Kajiara, who's a World Cup winner. Beveridge accelerates hard, 10 laps to go. This is sprint number 7. Alison Beveridge now moving herself up the leaderboard slowly but surely. Canadian rider, such a strong team pursuiter, good in the Omnium. So Beveridge took 5 that time, Kajiara took 3. Raldis of Switzerland secures a point. Kirsten Wild, 1:24 now, ahead of Valente. Valente can still win on this final sprint. Final lap then, it's the Ukrainian rider who is clear, but Amy Cure now on the front of the peloton. On the outside is Eleanor Barker. Amy Cure leading this sprint. She's going to go for the final points. On the inside is the French rider Laurie Burton. Amy Cure takes the final sprint. Burton 2nd, Beveridge 3rd, Kopecky in 4th place. Kirsten Wild wins the women's Omnium. Great racing. Kirsten Wild takes it 124 points to the 1:18 of Valente. There's Wild on the top step of the podium.
The girls give me a really tough competition. I think it was quite tight in the end with some sprints, and yeah, I think it was a beautiful race to watch, and I think it's just amazing with all the nice people here.
Here's our final bit of highlights, the men's Madison. And there's our start list. 72 laps to go. On the front, the Spanish pairing. Sprint number 5, and it's the Spanish team who are trying to secure some points here. The average speed of this race is horrendous, 58 k an hour so far. It's been flat out right from the start. So the Spanish team looking good. Albert Torres and Sebastian Mora. 69 laps to go. Spain took 5 that time. Austria took 3. Italy took 2. Belgium took 1 point, which means that after those sprints, Netherlands are on the top with 11, Great Britain second with 11, Spain on 10, and Austria on 5. The Dutch pairing looking good. Yuri Having and Jan Willem van Schip Big attack now at the front, comes from team number 4, and this is Kasper von Folsack paired with Julius Johansson. And this Danish team trying to take a lap. It looks like they may well do. This Danish pairing, Johansson and von Folsack, would be the only team to take a lap if they continue like this. New Zealand team in there. I've seen too much of them so far. Sprint number 6. Still Denmark trying to take the lap. 59 laps to go. Are they going to do it? Looks like they may well be closing in now. They're getting very, very close. Julius Johansson, Kasper von Folsack about to take 20 points. They are almost there. This is going to move them right up to the top of the leaderboard. Denmark took 5, Italy 3 on that sprint, Belgium 2, New Zealand took 1. And that means that top of the standings now, Netherlands and Great Britain, but with the 20 points that Denmark have just taken, they will go firmly to the top of the leaderboard. 20 points for gaining a lap, and that will put them right up there at top of the standings. The French team with Portugal going clear. Sprint number 7. The French team, seen too much of them so far. Donovan Grondin and Valentin Tabellion. They take the 5 points that time. Trying to go clear and take 20 points for the lap. The Austrian team have dropped away. The Portuguese team are there, so confirmation that France took 5, Great Britain took 3, Austria 2, and Spain took 1. Let's take a look at the standings of this contest now. Denmark firmly in the lead, 26 points to the 14 of Great Britain, with Spain on 11 and the Netherlands on 11 as well. The Danish team, 11 laps to go, still in the lead. They just have to keep doing what they're doing. The Ukrainian team going across to join up with them now. There's Spain with Torres and Mora, the British pairing of Wright and Walls, 2 young riders. Looking good in second place. 10 laps to go. The Danish team still at the front, even after taking a lap. They are stretching this race. Sprint number 11, Denmark took 5, Spain took 3, Great Britain took 2, France took 1. And Denmark lead with 40 points, Great Britain with 20, Netherlands 19, Spain with 17. And that means that still anyone can take the silver. 2 laps to go. Great Britain trying to go for the 10 points for the final sprint. Matthew Walls getting urged on by the crowd. This is a superb sprint by this rider. If he takes the 10, he will secure the silver medal. He takes it, he takes the final sprint. And Great Britain take the gold medal in the silver medal in the men's Madison. Denmark take the gold, and Spain will take the bronze. There's the Danish team. They win the men's Madison. Confirmation then of the result. 46 points to Denmark, 30 to the team of Great Britain. There's our winners. Denmark take the gold.
That was perfect for us, and yeah, now 4 out of 4 Madison victories for Denmark. I've been part of the team in 3 of them, so yeah, this is going great.
Well, that's all our live coverage and action from here in London. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for joining us. Bye for now. Let's take a look then at the men's team sprint finals. The bronze medal ride-off between Germany and Poland, and the gold medal ride-off between